Hi everybody, welcome to or back to the channel. We are going back into the realm of historical fiction today, and we are going to be talking about The Seamstress of New Orleans by Diane McPhail. How much do we love this dress on here? I don't know where I would wear a dress like this, but I would love to have the option of a dress like this coming down a stairwell, have a little Gone with the Wind moment. We all love the dress. Anywho, it's more than just the dress that this book is about. So this is a historical fiction novel that is set in early 1900s in New Orleans. And it is talking a lot about how women were becoming involved in Mardi Gras and that they were, starting their own businesses and how they were trying to kind of push through in a world that previously was just 100% run by men. And, they were dependent on their husbands. They were dependent on needing to marry. And that is where all of their well-being, where their finances, where their house, where everything came from. And what happens if that is suddenly taken away from you and you don't have another way to support yourself or to support your children? So we are following the story of two women and how their lives intersect. So we start with Alice. She is coming to New Orleans from Chicago in search for her husband. She is sitting there in their apartment alone. He has disappeared without a word. Obviously, early 1900s, there's not cell phone, there's not air tags, there's not any way to track these people, right? He just all of a sudden does not come home one day. So she's sitting in there without, again, any finances, any food, any way to keep the heat on, any way to pay the bill for the apartment as the landlord is knocking on the door. So what do I do? Well, I guess I'm gonna need to try to find my husband. So she remembers him talking about going to New Orleans. So she gets on the train and she's going to go to New Orleans and try to track down what happened to him. Did he have an accident? Like maybe he had a business partner, someone who can help me find what happened to my husband. So she also then discovers that she's pregnant on top of it. So she's got complication on top of complication. I just can't imagine, again, like being completely abandoned. Now you're pregnant. You don't have any other family or friends. You don't have any other way to support yourself. Like that is a terrifying thought in itself. So she goes to New Orleans, arrives in New Orleans to try to find a way to support herself. She starts offering sewing lessons at the orphanage. So that is what she was doing before. She was doing tailoring, that kind of thing. So she does have a skill for sewing. And so she's trying to use that skill for sewing while she's trying to find her husband. She's going around the dock. She's going around places that women really did not go in that time, trying to ask about him. Like, hey, he talked about being at the docks. Is anyone familiar with him? Trying to show a picture. And this husband just is nowhere to be found. No one knows him by name, and she's really starting to panic about what do I do now? And I'm pregnant. I'm going to have a baby that I need to support. So while she's at the orphanage, she crosses paths with Constance, who is volunteering at the orphanage. Constance is a new widow. She has some mysterious questions that have come up around her husband's death and what actually happened to him. Now, she's a widow, so she has her husband's house and what have you, so she has a little bit more security, but she's very quickly finding out that her husband was leading kind of the secret life behind the scenes. All of a sudden, she has people that are showing up because he owes them a ton in gambling debts, and they're making threats to her. And again, like here, now she's a woman with a child in a house alone without anyone to protect her, if she all of a sudden he has debts, then what are we going to live on if there isn't this estate that she can rely on? So she's in a very similar situation to Alice. So they meet at the orphanage, they cross paths, and Constance says, hey, if you will come and help me make this dress for Mardi Gras, come stay at my house. I'll give you room and board essentially, and we're going to make this dress for Mardi Gras, which of course Alice doesn't have any other option. So she happily accepts and moves in with Constance and her family, and they start to kind of build their own little family within this household. This gown that they are sewing is the first all-female Mardi Gras crew. That is a organization that helped put together the parade for Mardi Gras, and this is the first all-female one. So this is a time where history was changing, so they're putting all of their heart and effort into this dress. But the dress, of course, is just a symbol of so many other things that are going on in their life. Coming together as women, trying to build this new family because they had been abandoned, by their husbands, or trying to find out what happened to their husband. Why was the one husband murdered? Why was the other husband just completely disappeared without a word? and how they can support each other. So it really is about, resilience, about these women not giving up, knowing that they have to move forward, knowing that they have to find a way to support themselves. There are obviously secrets that are going on between, Constance's husband and the secret life that he was leading, and all of these debt collectors that are coming into play. And then Alice's husband, who just abandoned her without a word. So you have the mystery of what happened to him and her trying to track down what happened to him. You find out that Constance is hiding some secrets of her own. You find out that Alice is hiding secrets and being pregnant, that you can only hide that secret for so long before that becomes very obvious to everybody as far as what's happening here. So I said, it is very much a story of, women taking on their own lives, building a family, building something out of nothing, and making a dress on the way. Like I said, the dress is very symbolic of all of these things intersecting in their lives and building a new life and of themselves. So, the couple of questions that I thought of, takeaways that I had is, what would you have to let go of to move forward with something, even if you didn't have all the answers that you wanted? But is there something that you have to let go of that is torturing you, that you keep trying to find the reason why for, that maybe you'll never have a reason why for, and you just have to move on? And then secondarily, who do you have that is the chosen family? That's something that is a lot more common now than it was even, in that time. But I think there's a lot of people we have in our lives that can be friends that become family, and it doesn't mean that you don't love the family that you have, or whatever the boundary lines need to look like for that relationship. But these women were brought together with circumstances that they did not choose, and trying to find a way to make the best of it, and for their children, as well, and looking forward. So the Seamstress of New Orleans, again, a different part of history that I hadn't really read a whole lot about. I didn't realize that these organizations had come over for all females to help promote this Mardi Gras that was such a big deal. And it's still a big deal, obviously, in New Orleans. So it was a fun piece of history. I still want to dress like this somewhere along the way, but would love to hear what you guys think about it if you give it a try.